I'm the Candyman, and you're listening to Michael Titus, the Michael Titus radio show at GoMileHigh.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Michael Titus Show right here on GoMileHigh.com. I am the Maharaja of repartee with the glib tongue of a silver serpent, manager extraordinaire, the Rocky Mountain Mouth, Michael Titus. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about the ACW Underground show from this past Saturday night. It was the final ACW Underground show. We had the final ACW Underground champion, and then Sunday night was the Royal Rumble. But right now, I want to talk to you about, most importantly, he is my very dear, close personal friend, my very special guest of the week, Mr. Dewey Larson. Welcome to the show, Dewey.
Hey, thank you, Michael, very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. I can't believe it. I've been talking to you for years now. I only know a snippet about you. I came onto the scene in New Revolution Wrestling, and there you were. There you were as a referee. And I'm like, what is this guy wearing this WWE Referee t-shirt? Who is this guy? And everybody's like, oh, that's Dewey Larson. Don't you know? He's a former WWE referee and all this. And I'm like, what's so special about Dewey Larson? Okay, cool. He worked for WWE. And I get to know him, and I'm like, he's just a regular Joe Schmo. He's anybody special. What could be so special about Dewey Larson? And then as I got to know you, you're a very fascinating individual. There's a lot of fascinating things. There are deep crevices that we got to find out about you in terms of the deep rootedness that you have, not only in wrestling, but in general. You came from this production background that they're like, you know what? We like from what you've told me, the stories you've told me, that they brought you in initially because of your production skills, and then they asked you to train to be a referee in Fusion. So, but what I know about you is that I saw you in NRW. I've heard some of your stories. I've seen your wife and kids. Great family. Absolutely great family. Those kids, your sons are always trying to pickpocket me. I don't know where they think that I've got all these large sums of money that they're trying to penny pinch out of me. These little ankle biters are all over me at every single show that they're at. And your wife, the nicest woman that I've ever met in my entire life, next to Ron Unger's wife. What is with these wonderful, nice wives, and then they got these obnoxious husbands? You know, it's unbelievable.
I am truly a blessed man. That's, I look at my life every day and go, wow, I can't believe I've been able to do some of the things I've done and hang out with some of the people I've hung out with and have the family that I have. I'm like blown away.
Absolutely.
I look at myself in the mirror and go, what are you doing, dude? So, hey.
You really get paid for this.
Yeah, exactly. There's more to just being paid in business as well. So I'm being paid in life, and you know what? Everything you do in life as a kid, it really does come back.
It does.
You got to pay for that stuff. So you're paying and you get paid. So it's it's a trade-off.
Absolutely. Now, were you ever a fan of wrestling?
I was a fan of wrestling growing up in Texas. I'm originally from Amarillo, Texas.
Amarillo, Texas.
A lot of wrestling.
The Funks.
Absolutely,
yes.
A lot of wrestling. And also, believe it or not, Ted DiBiase.
Ted DiBiase.
Grew up with his kids. So
you actually grew up with his kids?
Well,
sort of.
Yeah, but they were. It was not to talk about them things I don't know. The wives were changing and things like that were going on. So I really didn't. None of that was my business as a kid.
No, of course.
We played. So
absolutely, you hung out with him. That was cool.
Yeah. So
that's
anyway,
a road story.
Yeah, dude, I have lots of road stories.
I bet you do.
So I grew up in Texas, and wrestling was huge in Texas. World class.
Absolutely.
When I was growing up, that was right in the height of the world class days. So gentleman Chris Adams, Gino Hernandez, all those some of those great wrestlers. The Von Erichs and the Freebirds. So yeah,
phenomenal. So pretty much anybody who's anybody has always came from WCCW at one point, particular point in time.
And my dad actually is the one that introduced me to it, and he was a big time NWA Atlanta fan. So obviously you had Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, all those guys. So I grew up watching those guys.
Yes. So you grew up watching them. And then how did your life? How did your course careen towards WWE? How did that happen?
I have to say, I'm a true Renaissance man of life. If there's something to be done, chances are I've probably done it.
Or will do it.
Yeah, my life is in a way that if someone tells me I can't do something, well, I'm motivated to do it. Or if I see something I want to do, I go do it. So I take that thought in life that if you're not happy doing what you're doing the wrong thing, which has pretty much led me to everything that I've done, including WWE. But that course started. I was a kid. I was in junior high school, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, we need some help down here at this local civic center doing some production." I'm like, "All right, whatever." I'm a young kid trying to make a little scratch here, so I pushed boxes. I was a local stagehand. Well, 20 some odd years later, that was pretty much my main career field. Whenever I wasn't touring, doing concert production, I was always doing something else. So that came all those other things. I was a minor league baseball umpire. I've done things like that. It has nothing to do with concert production, but hey, I did it. And then the wrestling, my life being involved behind the scenes of wrestling came as a result of my officiating career and at the minor league level, and then my background in concert and event production. So it just kind of came full circle one day. I had an opportunity, met the right people, was in the right place at the right time, and next thing I know, I was doing something that, once again, someone told me I couldn't do. So.
Well, and then what the stories that you've told me is that for you to train to be a referee, they sent you to actually Fusion Pro Wrestling right up here in Denver. Is that correct?
My contacts to learn the business of professional refereeing, they had some contact with a couple of the people that were in Fusion at the time. Jeff McAllister, he had done some. He'd been on TV.
Yes, he has.
He's done some things, and they had the premier school in Colorado. This is where I was. So my friend said, "Hey, look, this is the deal. They're looking for some officials, and they're also looking for some production people. So this is what you need to do. You need to learn as much as you can about the field." So I went in as green as kayfabe. I thought that was a person. So
it is.
It is. She's a sweetheart. By the way.
Yes, she is.
So that's where I got my start, and I was pretty much, hey, get in the ring, kid, and let's see what you can do. I didn't know what I was doing, so I was in the way.
Right.
But they worked with me, and I learned the business, and I had the opportunity to hang out with some really great referees over the course of professional wrestling history, and developed into. I took my officiating background from baseball with my, growing up watching wrestling. I knew enough about it, and then my production background, obviously, which is where that was my main role.
Dewey, I want to talk to you more about Fusion.
Okay.
But this is the Michael Titus Show on GoMileHigh.com.
Oh, yeah.
Go Mile High. You're listening to GoMileHigh.com.
Hey, John, why do you keep hitting yourself in the head with that hammer?
Well, I found this really great home. It's a Fannie Mae foreclosure, and it needs some renovations, but I don't know who to talk to about getting financing on this type of home.
You should call the mortgage team of Jennifer Hill and Matt Harris at American Liberty Mortgage. They were able to get me and my husband a renovation loan, and we were able to finance all the rehab costs.
Really?
Yeah, and they're really easy to work with, and interest rates are really low right now.
Do you have their number?
Of course I do. You can call the mortgage team of Jennifer and Matt at 303-901-6042. That's 303-901-6042. Now put the hammer on the ground and back away slowly.
Go Mile High. GoMileHigh.com.
Hi, I'm Hannah Stricker here from Monday's The Man Cave Show, and I'm here to let you know that GoMileHigh.com is available anywhere, anytime on your smartphone, iPad, or computer. To prove I'm no liar, I've sent my co-hosts, Jeff and Mike, to opposite ends of the world to check. And now we're sending it off to Mike Schaefer, who's up in the North Pole.
Hey Hannah, it's Mike up here in the North Pole, and I'm trying to prove that we do not lie, and you can get Go Mile High anywhere in the world. It is unbelievably cold up here, but I'm surrounded by a big fat jolly guy and some little elves. They're checking their phones and iPads right now. And yes, we do get Go Mile High up here in the North Pole.
And now we send it off to Jeff Frederick, who is in the rainforests of South America, where from what I hear, it's really coming down.
Yes, it is, Hannah, but believe it or not, as bad as it is here, I can still hear you, and I can still pull up GoMileHigh.com to listen to all my favorite shows.
Well, there you have it, folks. Anywhere, anytime, you can listen to GoMileHigh.com. So I don't want to hear any excuses about why you can't listen. GoMileHigh.com, your sports news talk station.
GoMileHigh.com. Go Mile High. This is Chris Von Lohr, and you're listening to The Michael Titus Show on GoMileHigh.com.
Welcome back to The Michael Titus Show right here on GoMileHigh.com. Sitting here talking with Dewey Larson, and he's telling me all of his stories of touring with Sonny and Cher and hullabaloo. Oh, no, Garth Brooks, that's what it was. You're not back from the 50s. There you go. Dating you, but you're not that old.
I'm not that old. Knock that off.
But that's for sure. But so I was talking to him. He's right there. He's touring with Garth Brooks. He did all the lighting, and then he started as a rigger. And he was telling me that he had a good friend who was working for WWE, who was a rigger at the time, and he came to see him at the shows and was talking with them and everything like that. And that's kind of got his in with really, like they always say, it's who you know. It's not what you know.
You know, what you know gets you in the door.
It's true.
Who you know while you're inside that room, that's what gets you to the next room, because there's doors within that door.
Absolutely.
A lot of people walk through doors and they just mill around in the lobby and read the magazines. But to go back in the back office and know really what's going on, that was different.
And then this gentleman right here, he actually gets a phone call while he's working a concert at the Pepsi Center about his negotiating his contract.
I did. I was doing a show at the Pepsi Center, and the senior production manager, head of the live event logistics for World Wrestling Entertainment, called me. And he had been talking to my friend, and we started negotiating the contract right there while I was working another show. And a couple weeks later, I was on a plane to the East Coast and starting my adventure.
It was awesome. But before the break, we were talking about fusion. Tell me some of the things about what was Jeff McAllister and Billy V like. I mean, I've heard from people like Aaron the Candyman, Noah Torella. They've told me stories, and even Jason Knoll. But I want to hear from Dewey Larson's perspective of what Jeff McAllister, Billy V, and fusion in general was like.
Well, you know, I'll say this. Everybody in especially at the independent level, they have it's like professional lacrosse. Those guys get paid to do what they do, but they have real jobs.
Yes.
And a lot of the indie wrestlers come in, and you know they only talk to people, and they only get to know one side of them. Every person that I talk to, I try to get to know them from a personal level. So I spent a lot of time with Jeff, and I spent some time with Billy, and I got to know those guys. There was talk even there was a possibility I could come in and partner with them to take independent wrestling in Colorado to the next level. I was gaining knowledge from World Wrestling Entertainment. I was able to come home and still be involved a little bit with Fusion. I helped them with production. I gave them their set pieces. Those set pieces came from me. I gave them lighting. I gave them the video screen. But my idea was to build something that hadn't been done at the independent level. And it wasn't from a lack of want to do. It's a lack of how to do and time to do, which you go to an independent wrestling anywhere in the country, and you can't go for the production value. You have to go for, well, you can't even go for the in-the-ring value sometimes.
Sometimes, no.
You have to go for what it is. And people would go to watch a Fusion event and not get an independent feel. There was something about it. There was special. A lot of things can be said about the way Jeff and Billy ran the company. I guess some talent here in Colorado didn't fully appreciate what they were being given.
What I understood was that I think the major issue was the exclusivity, that they only were supposed to work for Fusion. But outside of that, if you look at the product that they were generating with Fusion, and I only got to hear and only got to see snippets of it, I thought it was the best thing going. From what I saw and from what I've seen currently, they still had the best of everything.
You know, it's every independent wants to get noticed. The goal of every independent promoter is make a little money.
Yes.
But there's like you said, there's crevices to people and things. Well, there's crevices to Fusion. It wasn't just about they didn't care about making money. They cared about making enough to survive and make the next product better, and still be able to pay the guys and provide quality training. Quality training, the better your training is, the better your practice makes perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys, they prided themselves on their work ethic in the ring, which kind of reminds me of the old outlaw days. Those guys worked.
Yes.
And they would work 45-minute matches.
Absolutely.
Not 5 minutes, get your stuff in, and then you're done. And Jeff specifically, I don't think people appreciated that aspect of him, what he wanted to do for them to get them to the next level. I mean, you can...
And he had the connections. Unlike many of the promoters here in Colorado and many across the country, they don't have connections. They can't do anything. They can just prepare you for maybe the next promotion in town.
You know,
that's it.
There were times where I would be on the road. I was in Kansas City. I was in Arizona, Minnesota, Missouri. These are places that they would bring Jeff out to do a dark match. Okay, well, those places have their own indie wrestlers.
Exactly.
So whenever I was seeing Jeff come in to do these, I'm out on the road with these guys saying, Jeff, what are you doing here, you know? Are you going to be at Fusion next month? Well, I don't know. I got to go to Europe, you know?
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
But that said a lot, and I started taking notice. Then, as I learned the business at the higher level, I was able to bring back a little bit and try to help out and watch what they did with what they did.
Yeah.
And these like I said, these are men that had 8 to 5 jobs.
Yeah, I know that Jeff is a welder.
Absolutely.
And he didn't need wrestling.
He's an engineer.
He has more money than he knows what to do with. He's set for life. He's got a great family. He's got everything going for him. He didn't need wrestling. That was a passion of his to help the other guys.
Absolutely.
To help the actual workers.
And I don't think we're done seeing him yet. I think we'll see him again.
It was just not fun for him and Billy after a while.
Well, the business aspect. They wanted to be able to go and do... They had done the production thing, and it just became hard. It was taken away from their family. Jeff had a couple kids. Billy had...
It takes a toll on this wrestling business.
Absolutely,
I mean, you can attest more than anyone what it's been a toll for you, your wife, and your 2 boys.
You know what? It's... Whenever you have to call your wife and say, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss the anniversary. I'm going to miss my kid's birth. I'm gonna miss birthdays. That stuff, that's the important stuff that people, take for granted. And honestly, the road takes its toll not just on you, but it takes its toll on them. And that's why a lot of professional athletes in general end up with broken homes. So I mean, honestly, it almost happened to me. So, by the grace of God, I'm here, and I still have my family. And whenever I was released from WWE, that was probably the best thing that could have happened to me at that time. I wasn't happy about it, and I wasn't happy about the way it happened. However, I definitely can look forward knowing that God had a hand in it for me, and He said, hey, I got something else for you. Just sit tight, man. You're going to be okay.
Well, when we get back, we're going to talk to Dewey Larson a little bit more about his WWE days and see if he can shed some stories and give some insight and maybe some funny stories. We'll be back on the Michael Titus Show, GoMileHigh.com.
Check out our fan page while you listen.
Facebook.com/GoMileHigh.
Or just enter Go Mile High in the search bar.
Duh.
It's that moment when a person becomes something greater than themselves. The sports talk show host sets up to the microphone. He knows the pressure is on to deliver a spectacular performance. He drops back, hands the toss to his co-host. His co-host tosses back. It's a flea flicker. The host bombs it down the field, and the audience receives a touchdown. Oh my goodness, I can't believe what just happened.
We love sports, and we love to talk about it. GoMileHigh.com. Colorado sports lifestyle.
Catch your breath.
Hi everyone, it's the mortgage team of Jennifer and Matt with American Liberty Mortgage, here to talk about renovation loans. There's no need to do the renovation work yourself when you can have a contractor do it and get it done in a required period of time.
With Fannie Mae's Home Path Loan and FHA's 203K loan, you can have the renovation work done for you and have the cost rolled into the loan. Call the mortgage team of Jennifer and Matt for more details about the Home Path renovation and FHA 203K loans at 303-901-6042.
That's the mortgage team of Jennifer and Matt at 303-901-6042.
Check out our fan page while you listen.
Facebook.com/Go Mile High.
Or just enter Go Mile High in the search bar.
Duh.
Hi, I'm Ryan Seacrest for RAD. Over 300 people in this country are killed every week by a drunk driver. That's the equivalent of 2 747 plane crashes every single week. And the problem isn't going away unless we all do our part to stop it. So if you see someone who's about to drive after drinking, get the keys. Don't leave it up to anyone else. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
This is the best independent wrestler in the state of Colorado, the Superstar, and you're listening to the Michael Titus Show on GoMileHigh.com.
You got the buttons over there, Dave? How's it going on there? Your tag team partner over there, Ronnie Lee, just walked in the door, so therefore you're not able to push the buttons for me? I see how it is, Dave. Let's see if your mic's going to be working at the next show. No, I'm not going to be that kind of a dirty guy, but this is the Michael Titus Show on GoMileHigh.com, and as you heard just before the music, that was the Superstar. He says he's the best wrestler in the state of Colorado. No doubt about it, in my opinion. But there's another man who claims to be the best, and that's Lonnie Valdez. And I think that that controversy over who the best is in Colorado is still unfinished. It's unfinished business, and I think one day all of that will come to a head, and we'll see a match between the two individuals and find out who indeed is the best in Colorado. But right now, continuing on with my discussion with Dewey Larson, my dear close personal friend, a man who's talking to me about WWE. Dewey, I want you to tell me about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then, of course, 3 of your funniest stories that you've ever had in WWE.
Oh my gosh, you know, I could spend hours talking about WWE and life on the road and the boys and having fun and not just the talent in the ring, but you know, the production guys. I mean, we used to have fun. So
well, those were your coworkers.
They were.
So
you know what? While I was there, it's family.
Yes.
You know, it's a little different now. I mean, there's still people that every once in a while I get a message from, like, see how you're doing. My best friend in the world, he still works for him, or he did work for him, and he just recently got released, and we still talk weekly. And but you know, that was the best time of my life. It was the worst time and the best time of my life.
Right.
I got to see the world and went to 48 countries in the 5 years I was there, and but then, you know, it had to end.
Yes.
So, anyway, what do you want to know? I'm ready.
Give me some funny stories. Give me something that was interesting and just off the wall, but some of those road stories.
Road stories. All right. My first Europe trip. My first trip to Europe with the company was also Marty Elias. He was a referee for WWE for a while.
Right.
It was his first trip on the road, and the deal was, the boys went out and they were partying, being stupid, and you know, there's some guys like me. I stayed in the hotel, and it was about 4 a.m. and I get a knock on my door, and it's a lobby call. I'm like, what the heck are they doing? The lobby call isn't for another 8 hours. What are you doing? Yeah. Well, anyway, somebody got this Marty intoxicated and told him that he's the rookie on the trip, and he is in charge of the wake-up call for everybody at 4 a.m. Not only is he in charge of the wake-up call, they also gave him a master key to all the rooms to go wake everybody up. Well, that's all well and good until you try to wake up someone like Khali or Randy Orton. Khali was slow, couldn't catch Marty, but you got to think, here's this guy who's running up and down the halls of this hotel, walking in all the wrestling talents and waking them up at 4 a.m. Randy got a hold of him. They got a hold of Marty and they put him in a chair. They put him in a chair, all of his clothes off, and they pushed all the buttons on the elevator. So he goes up and down the elevator, and then he comes off, and they're like, you know what? There was a luggage rack at the front of the hotel, and there's, you know, all the wrestling fans are outside the windows. They don't let them come in, and so they strip Randy strips Marty down, gaff tapes him to this luggage rack, and rolls him down the hill. Opens the door and rolls him down the hill. 4 o'clock in the morning. Marty gets to the bottom of the hill, falls down, and here he comes. He's running up, just kind of totally naked. That was a good story. I won't tell you what happened at the end of that, but I think you know enough there. Let's see what else. We had a weight loss contest one time, and it was open to everybody, and it was strategic. I can specifically say that there's 2 guys on the WWE crew. They specifically eat and gain weight all year long just so that they can win this competition. You know, everyone puts in their money, and the winner takes all on losing the most, and it's a percentage, weight percentage. So, and the loser has to submit to whatever the boys say. I cheated. I didn't show up at the last weigh-in, and I phoned in my final weight from home.
Yeah.
So I lost by default. So I had to go to a WWE television event, and I worked in the production office. So I dealt with professional people from the arenas, from different charitable organizations. I had to dress up like a girl. They bought me a dress. They took me over to makeup, and the girls put makeup on my face, and I had to dress like a woman all day long and do my business and try to be taken seriously. And at the end of the day, Vince comes in and he goes, "We pay you good money for this." And he goes, "Ha, ha, ha, ha," and walks out. I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." I didn't want to mess with it at all. And I tried to stay away from Laurinaitis and Vince all day long. I was just like, I had someone go get my food and bring it back so I didn't have to walk up and down the halls. Anyway, so yeah,
that's a moment to remember. That's for sure, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got another one?
I got all sorts of stories, man. There's not enough time in the day to talk about the good stuff.
No, absolutely not.
Probably my last real good memory of WWE was in Hawaii. It was my last night in Hawaii. We were fixing to come home to start the West Coast swing, and I was walking on the beach, and I walked up on Randy and Umaga. They were sitting on the beach, and this was like 2 a.m. I was just walking. I didn't want to have anything to do with them, and minding my own business. And then I thought I'd take off my shoes. I'm glad I took off my shoes and put my cell phone inside my shoes and left them up on the beach, because there I was walking down the beach, and out of nowhere I heard this boom. I got gang tackled in the beach, in the water, by Spanky and Jeff Hardy. And Brian Kendrick.
Yeah.
They gang tackled me, and they were beating me up at 3 a.m. on the beach in Hawaii. And this was the worst part of that. They know that we, 7 hours away from getting on an airplane. Okay, try to take wet, salt-watered clothes, belt, pants, shirts. What do you do with that stuff? I didn't want to leave it. So I put it in a bag, wrapped it up, and put it in my luggage. When I got to L.A., there was a stench coming from baggage claim that you wouldn't believe.
It was your bag.
It was my bag, and it was from the nasty saltwater clothes from being gang tackled in Hawaii by the boys.
All right. Well, that's a good stench. Stench is unbelievable coming from baggage claim. But we're going to come back. We're going to talk about life after WWE with Dewey Larson. Stay tuned for more of the Michael Titus Show right here on GoMileHigh.com.
Check out our fan page while you listen.
Facebook.com/GoMileHigh.
Or just enter Go Mile High in the search bar.
Duh. This is President Barack Obama. In the story of America, the greatest chapters are moments of challenge, when we see people serving their country and one another. Volunteers who step forward into hospital corridors and church basements, along levees and fire lines. And the next chapter is yours to help write. Sign up to volunteer at usaservice.org. That's usaservice.org. Let's renew America together.
A message from Renew America Together, brought to you by the Ad Council.
Colorado. Sports. Lifestyle.
Catch your breath.
Go Mile High.
Whether you're a hardcore athlete in training or just looking to stay active, find the gym that fits your needs in the new Colorado Sports and Fitness Guide. We bring Colorado the best sports and fitness information from in and around the Denver metro area. Find gyms, CrossFit, sports performance and personal training, nutrition, and more in the new Colorado Sports and Fitness Guide. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for daily updates and specials from our sports and fitness providers. ColoradoSportsAndFitness.com, Colorado's #1 resource for sports and fitness information.
What's going on?
What's happening?
What's up with
GoMileHigh.com.
Certainly funky music right here on the Michael Titus Show on GoMileHigh.com with Dewey Larson right here. We're going to talk to him about life after WWE. What's transpired, and take me up to these last few years all the way up into your new project.
All right, that's pretty easy. I got released from WWE, and I honestly came home. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just bought a house. I was at a loss. And how do you go from, having this great 6-figure-a-year job to having zero overnight?
Pretty scary, huh?
It was very scary. Let me tell you, it was a defining moment in my life. Like I said, it was the worst thing that happened, but it ended up being one of the best things that's happened.
In hindsight.
In hindsight, of course, hindsight's always 20/20. Whenever I left, I came home, and I was pretty down. I beat myself up for a while, trying to figure out, could I have done something different? Could I have done things better? And then I thought about what happened with my release, and it made me think I couldn't have done anything different than what I did. I could have been a better man for my family, and I think maybe God would have rewarded me a little differently. But I took advantage of my time there. I was living the life. I was having fun, and it had to come to an end. So it probably would have put me in an early grave. But anyway, I came home, and I sat on my rear for about 6 months, and then I get a call from TNA. Andy Barton, the vice president of operations there, contacted me, and they were interested in bringing me to Tennessee for an interview. And I immediately went, all right, good. I left WWE, and I'm going to land on my feet. And I'm so excited because I can look back at the guys and go, ha, 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 ha. And that was not the case. I flew out to Tennessee, and you know what? I don't know what they had planned for me. I do know that I spent 8 hours pouring my guts out, telling them everything I knew about professional wrestling and WWE and what I did to get me to that point. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. And they were taking notes, man. This is a good idea. Yeah, of course, it's WWE. It's a great idea, I have nothing against TNA. I would work for those guys. If they called me today, I would go work for them because they're good guys. However, I left going, all right, man, I'm expecting a call now. The guy, he built me up for this position. They had an international position that was coming available, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready for it. Well, that call never came when he said, and I called him, and I played telephone tag with him for the next going on 3 years now. And every couple months, I'll give him a holler and say, hey, man, what's going on now? And he's like, hey, well, we're still waiting. Okay, well, it's 3 years now, so it's all right. It's all right. I've moved on, but I like the game, so I'm going to continue to call and say, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
What's going on? So just that's my personality, though. So after that,
you started coming to NRW. You started working for the.
I did.
As a ref.
Shortly after I got home, Fusion, the boys of Fusion decided they wanted to fold their doors, and that's all well and good. They went their own way, and it really didn't matter anyway because most of the talent that was working for them was working everywhere else. So, I talked to Matt Yaden, and you know what? That's ironically where your studio is here in Belmar. I saw Matt 2 blocks over at a little ice cream shop. And he was in there with his family. I was with my family. And we just started talking about life of independent wrestling in Colorado. And he hit me with an idea. And I told him, that's awesome. You're an idiot if you don't look into it, because we're hurting for quality. There's lots of wrestling, but we're hurting for quality. And I said, man, I'll tell you everything I know. I don't know everything, but I'll help you out as much as I can. And so that's how I got my start with NRW. And apparently they're doing well. So I've since gone on. I've started my other business. I come back and make a brief cameo appearance every once in a while.
Yeah, you do.
But for the most part, it's good to see. It's good to see excitement in Colorado again. Because whenever I left, there wasn't a lot to be excited about in the world of professional wrestling. And now, with all these different organizations, everybody, you can't really say this organization is better than this organization. However, let me back up. Before I started working any wrestling, I did a WWE televised event in Amarillo, Texas. And I had dinner sitting right like this with Ric Flair. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I watched him on NWA. I can't believe he's over here at WWE now. And I don't know where I go. So, Rick, which do you like better? NWA or WCW or WWE? And he said, well, kid, it depends on what entertainment you like better. And that hit it on the head for me. And so now I look at Colorado. It's not who has the best organization. It's what entertainment you like.
Exactly.
You got the Lutras. You got the hardcore. You got the more traditional stuff. You have some organizations that try to throw it all together like a big mixing bowl. So it just depends on what entertainment your prospective customer likes.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's whoever you cater to is who your audience is going to be. And for the problem for most of these promotions is they really haven't tapped into who their market is. And if they don't know who their market is, they don't know how to advertise to them. And that's why they're not getting the numbers that they're looking for, the draws that they're supposed to be getting at the door that they like.
They say that, you know, any business, you got to be willing to spend money to make money.
It's true. You spend a lot of money.
Think about it. At the end of it,
on Dream Big. And we'll
talk
about
that in a second. But from a wrestling standpoint, at an independent level in your different regions, the promoters just don't have the capital to do anything worthwhile. You get a sponsor here and there, but your sponsor's only good for come and eat after the show.
It really is.
So there's more to it than that. It's a very tough business to break into. Number one, because you can follow the trends of TNA, WWE, Ring of Honor, all these major, even Noah, and you can watch the trends. MMA's come in and kind of changed it for everybody, but it's still entertainment. People will always pay to be entertained. Doesn't matter how bad the economy gets. However, it's like anything else. You got to be at the right place at the right time.
Absolutely. And an opportunity struck for you. And when we get back from the break, we'll talk about his new venture. This is the Michael Titus Show on GoMileHigh.com.
Go Mile High. GoMileHigh.com.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's when your rhythm is clicking. And that's when we muscle up during the meat of the week. The most popular programs on Go Mile High are all active during the middle of the week. The Press Box from 3 to 5, The Corral at 6, MMA Uncensored, and The Full Nelson from 7 to 9. Living Mile High at 9 o'clock. Experience Go Mile High at full strength midweek. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're counting on you to click on GoMileHigh.com.
Go Mile High.
Hey, sports fans, go to BeOnAir.com to find out how you can launch a career in sports broadcasting. I'm Katie Mitchell, and I graduated from the Ohio Center for Broadcasting's Colorado campus. In less than a year, I got the hands-on experience I needed to start a career where I get paid to watch and talk about sports. While attending the Ohio Center for Broadcasting, I scored an internship and have been on air ever since. So if you want to work in sports radio like me, text FANS to 33239. Classes start soon, so text FANS, that's FANS, to 33239 today.
Go Mile High. You're listening to GoMileHigh.com.
Valderon de Oliveira. What I like about him is that he's the tall cowboy.
Go GoMileHigh.com. The Corral.
And you'd think that the more leg, the easier it is to hold on. But when you've got that much torso above the bull, the fulcrum point makes it harder to hold on. So usually the shorter cowboys are more successful. But this tall guy, he has ridden 56 bulls, 39 of them he stayed on.
The Corral with Kelly Brogan. Weekday evenings, 6 to 7 on Go Mile High. GoMileHigh.com.
Energy efficiency interviews are brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
April.
Yeah?
So you know your charger that's plugged into the wall? It's still using energy, even though it's not attached to a phone.
That's not my charger. I don't even have a cell phone. You know what? I'll just unplug it. I'm busy. I'll call you back.
Millions of kids are using their energy wisely. What's your excuse? Learn more at loseyourexcuse.gov.
This is the Canadian pit bull, Eric Angel, and you're listening to the Michael Titus Show on GoMileHigh.com.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the Michael Titus Show right here on GoMileHigh.com. It's a beautiful afternoon here in the Belmar area. Unfortunately for tomorrow, they're forecasting snow. So that's unfortunate because we got such nice weather and snow only hinders everything around here. And nobody in Denver seems to know how to drive when it comes to bad weather. Nobody knows. There's always accidents on all the major highways, that we've got around here, C470, 6th Avenue. And it's like, really, come on, people.
In the snow, it's not four-wheel drive, it's four-wheel slide.
Exactly. But before the break, we were talking. Mr. Dewey Larson here, he was explaining to me kind of what he is starting to see right here in the state of Colorado for the Indies, and wants to, he was telling me during the break that he wants to lay it out on the line and let us all know that if a change is not made, major things are going to happen, and it's going to be at the detriment, and most of the promotions here are just going to fail because they need to work together. Isn't that right? That is correct.
I've talked to Brandon, who owns a promotion in Colorado Springs. I've talked to Joe. I've talked to Matt. I've talked to Schwam. I've talked to a couple other people. And I know you're laughing. We'll talk about that here in a little bit.
His name is not Schwam.
Schwani. I don't know enough about the guy.
I know you. Neither do I. I
do know this. I do know this. Going around the country doing what I do now, even with whenever I worked for WWE and other doing production.
Absolutely.
I was able to see independents around the country. I'm still able to see independent wrestling around the country. Things are changing. The tides are changing. People are grizzled. Back in the days, the 70s, 80s, the territories were starting to go out. The reason was, obviously, the promoters were greedy. They were starting to take that dollar. Instead of giving the wrestlers $10, guess what? You get to work for free tonight. All right, well, that's not cool. So they started getting greedy. They started not sharing their wrestlers. And you had a couple big companies come in, McMahon's and even Ted Turner, and they bought out all the talent. And
precursor to Ted Turner was the Crockett's.
Yeah, the Crockett's. So independent wrestling during those days was done as we knew it.
Yep.
However, we go into today with the way the economy is. Things are changing, and I've tried to tell the guys in Colorado, if they don't jump on board and do something about it, they're gonna get shut down. They don't have to believe me. They don't have to like me. They don't have to. I don't know it all, but I do know enough about business, and I know enough about professional wrestling to know. I watched it as a kid. I not just as a fan. It's a business, and it's going to happen. What I mean is this. I'm going to put it right out. The territories are coming back. Either Colorado can get on board with it, or they can get left behind. So I suggested that all the promoters in Colorado get together. Why don't we get together and have one base? We are NRW, this is this region, whatever. And then everybody can have their own individual independent organizations underneath it. Does that mean that this NRW top, I'm just using them as an example because they're the ones I'm most familiar with. does that mean they get the most money? It's not about that. It's about organizing so that we don't get bought out by East Coast or West Coast and Colorado changes as we know it. Bottom line is, you can go to any independent in Colorado and at least half of the roster is going to be working that show. Whether it's a lucha or whether it's hardcore, whether it's the outlaw style, whether it's the contemporary wrestling style, it doesn't matter. You're going to see those same guys on that card. Well, it's because there's only a handful of quality guys in Colorado. There's a lot of up-and-comers, and I don't mean to down them. I just mean it's time for the cream to rise. So why not you take those top guys, but brand them to a certain organization. That doesn't mean that they only have to wrestle under that organization. That means we're coming together as a team. If you're going to wrestle organized or promotion A one night, but you belong to C, that's fine. You go into A, hey, I'm representing C, and number one, you can build storylines, you can build characters, and you don't have to go, well, I'm a heel over here, but I'm a face over here. You want storylines, you want to stick with what you're doing, what works for you, what works for wrestling, what works for the show.
There's consistency consistency can be brought into this, and that's the thing that I have the major issue with is there's a lack of inconsistency, because most of us, we all work in all of the promotions. 9 times out of 10, we all work in all the promotions. The promoters may not work with each other, but we all work in those promotions.
Right.
And our character changes depending on which promotion we're in. And I've never agreed with that. Because if you were to go to talk to someone, say, hey, come see me at this show. Okay, well, I'm also going to be at this show. Well, why were you a jerk to someone there, but you're Mr. Goody Two-Shoes over here?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
And so there has to be more consistency. And when there's more consistency, not only in the storylines, not only in the characters, but in the actual promotions working together.
Absolutely.
Therefore, you can turn the profit. You can start making money. You can start growing your attendance. Things can start generating, because then people can say, hey, well, now there's all these shows I can go to that I didn't know that even existed before.
Absolutely.
Because you have to create awareness and interest. And
what it's going to take, though, it's going to take these promoters willing to sit down at a table like this and talk it out and work together. If they don't, then they're going to miss the boat. They can go somewhere else. They can go to Oklahoma, Texas, or whatever. But the bottom line is the territories are coming back.
You ultimately need an NWA. You ultimately need, just for your particular area. We've got 5, maybe 7 promoters in this state. They all work together.
It needs to be in the style of NWA, but not necessarily NWA.
Not the management style.
Right. Yeah. There's guys up in Utah that are ready to come in.
It's true.
There's guys in South Dakota that are ready to come in and do this. There's an organization in New Mexico. There's one in Texas. Plus, there's a handful of organizations right here in Colorado. There's no reason that we can't come in and say, hey, we're going to do this. And I'm a nobody. I'm really an outsider. I've started my other business that keeps me full time. However, I hate to see some of these good, talented guys in Colorado.
You hate to see potential get wasted.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, the majority of these guys will never see a 20-foot ring. And by saying that, I mean a television ring. They're never going to see that next level. However, with organization comes opportunity. And if those guys are working together, good things can happen. But the big but is, can everybody not be a big but and sit down at the table long enough to say, hey, let's do this?
Absolutely.
Why not?
Sometimes opportunities are given. Sometimes opportunities have to be created. We'll be back for more on The Michael Titus Show on GoMileHigh.com.
Go Mile High is easy to find on Facebook, too. Like us. GoMileHigh.com.
Finally. Let's see what's on. Nope. Too fuzzy.
Thomas vacant Senate seat.
What?
Ed Jensen says
it's terrible. I can't understand a word that you're saying. That's it. I've had enough. www.gomilehigh.com. Enter.
You've been working hard.
Yeah.
Take a break.
It's all right.
A lot of fun today. Get behind the scenes.
All right. I can actually hear what they're saying. This is so much better.
Today on the Press Box.
Why even bother with a fuzzy radio signal when you can get crystal clear sports radio streaming live off your computer?
You don't even need to mess with any dials. Just type in www.gomilehigh.com and click on the Listen tab.
Ride the wave of the future with GoMileHigh.com. Colorado sports lifestyle. Catch your breath.
The unexpected in the horse world can be costly. Don't wait to have a claim to find out. Why not take advantage of the insurance experts that are in your backyard? Equisure, located right here in Colorado. Because Equisure employs insurance people who are horse owners, competitors, and equestrian participants. They really know the equestrian insurance industry inside and out. Their personal involvement means the insurance solutions are up to date and will work for you. To get a quote, visit equisure-inc.com or call 1-800-752-2472.
Go Mile High is easy to find on Facebook, too. Like us. GoMileHigh.com.
Not only is the Full Nelson Go Mile High's first and only professional wrestling talk show, but we're also the new hotbed for special guests such as legendary wrestler Bader.
From the power of the Rocky Mountains, it's time. My son Jesse just quit on me. He let me know that the WWE had come calling, and so he had to quit. I told him he had a contract, and he said, well, sue me.
Turn to the Full Nelson every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, only on GoMileHigh.com. Catch your breath.
This is the most watched superstar of Colorado, Wayne DeWayne, and you are watching The Michael Titus Show.
Good afternoon, and welcome back to the Michael Titus Show right here on GoMileHigh.com. And at this time, before we have to leave and turn it over to Dave and Ronnie Lee for On the Pitch, the best soccer show around, thanks to Dave Prill and Ronnie Lee, we're going to talk to Dewey Larson about his newest venture, the one that is really making his ends meet and paying all the bills and everything, Dream Big Entertainment. Tell us all about it.
Dream Big Entertainment. Well, Dream Big Entertainment is the culmination of 20-plus years of production and a lifetime of aviation love.
You're an aficionado of aviation, huh?
I am an aficionado of aviation. I was 8 years old as a kid, went to my first air show, and I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to fly planes. At that time, I wanted to get in all the fighter jets. My dad said, you can't get in those. Department of Defense won't let you in. Tried to explain that to an 8-year-old kid. Doesn't work. I said, it doesn't matter, Dad. One day I'm going to have a plane, and I'm going to give everyone in the world an opportunity to sit in it and enjoy it and to dream a dream. And to make a long story short, I got my picture taken in a plane at that air show. It was a fighter jet. And I still have that picture. I gave it to my mom, especially whenever I came up with this new business. Well, anyway, coming full circle, about a year ago, there I was sitting on my rear again, and I said, all right, God, now's the time. What are we going to do? And he said, well, what have you always wanted to do? And I'm like, all right, I know, but I didn't put it in perspective. Then my wife, later on that night, I'm like, look, I had a thought about this. I'm going to look. And she was like, all right, well, you know what? What did you tell my dad that you were going to do to take care of the family whenever you retired? And I was like, all right. I wanted to get a plane, and I want to put it on a trailer, and I'm going to travel to air shows and events, and that's how we're going to do it. She's like, well, what's stopping you? And other than money, that was the only thing stopping me. So with a lot of faith, I set out on a month-long mission to raise funds. In 2 days, I located a plane. It was in New York City. It was perfect. It was an old fighter jet. And the deal about fighter jets is you can't get them. After 9/11, the tragedy of 9/11, the Department of Defense and the government says you can't own a piece like this. You can't own fighter jets. Okay, I happened to find one. It was a private owner. I put myself out there. He gave me a price. It was way too much. And I'm like, you know what? He kept we went 2 weeks. He's like, I need this money. And I said, it's not going to happen. However, I have faith that I'm doing the right thing. When I get the money, I'll pay you. He said, okay, I'll believe it when I see it. A month later, by the grace of God, I had a guy who offered offered to put some funds in. I had a set of investors, a small handful, small investors, a couple hundred, couple thousand here. I needed a big miracle to make it happen. I had one guy say, yes, here it is. I believe in your dream. And the dream is this, to give everybody an opportunity to dream a dream. So this is my business. It's twofold. I have a nonprofit side, which is this. Every event city that I go to, I take this plane, we park it in front of a children's hospital, children's home, or a school, and we let people get in it. And I give back to that community. What I do for profit is the other side. I go to air shows and events, open up my cockpit, dress people up like a fighter pilot, put them in the airplane, and take a picture of them dreaming this dream. And then there's a bigger picture. I have a patent with the airplane for mobile advertising. Mobile advertising with an aviation piece is the patent. So it's a mobile advertising platform. So that's what we do now. We go to these events, but I have a sponsor on the side, so I'm advertising and marketing for them all over the country, and in the course of a year, they'll see 52 million impressions on this airplane. It's ridiculous. It's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I can give back, and I'm not looking to make $1 million. I'm just looking to take care of my family and put my kids through school and to live. You look back in the history, our economy is horrible right now. Most businesses that started back in the Depression, the economy was bad, and guess what? Those businesses are still here. So I want to be one of those businesses. I want to take this to the next level. I don't want to have just one plane. I want to have a squadron. I want to have a whole squadron of fighter jets on trailers, and we're going around the entire country, and we're giving back to the community, and we're sharing something of history. We're sharing excitement. We're sharing a dream. And giving back to everybody. Why not? Why not?
Absolutely. That's just wonderful. I mean, I never got the opportunity to sit and talk with you about Dream Big and find out a little bit more, because I've always found it to be something fascinating, because I wanted to know what was the message behind it, the story behind it, of why you would do such a thing, and why it's become such a passion of yours now. And I can see that it's been deeply rooted since your childhood. And that's a phenomenal and outstanding thing. And I appreciate you coming in on the show and getting to talk with you. I mean, there's some stories that we didn't get a chance to talk about because of all the things that you've done just in the 5 years. You just had 5 years with the WWE, and that was a phenomenal experience. And Fusion, that was a phenomenal experience. And now with NRW, hopefully bigger and better things are still to come.
I look for good things from those guys. They're good.
I hope to see one day you have that squadron.
Thank you. Of
those airplanes and the fighter jets.
I tell you what. I'll leave with this. Always do what you want to do. If you're not doing what you want to do, you're doing the wrong thing. And have faith and believe. If you have your head screwed on right, good things will happen. Don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't live your dreams. You go after them, because good things happen as long as you believe.
Absolutely. Well, we are running into the time of On the Pitch, so I'm going to sign off and talk to you guys later. Until next week, this is the Michael Titus Show on GoMileHigh.com.
God bless you guys.
Let's see what's happening in sports today.
I think Tim's earned the right